there is a very big difference between how Ample, how the protocol functions together versus stuff like Ethena, et cetera. Because the way I see it very clear is that because Spot sits on top of Ample directly, so whenever Spot's demand grows and TVL grows, so does Ample's supply natively in the system, right? And this is how I've been,
That's right.
yeah, basically tracking this. So going back to the beginning when we talked about wrapped Ampleforth tracking the supply growth of Ample itself, because this is the engine that powers the Spot protocol. So if more people deposit into Spot to farm the liquidity incentive or chase the yield or just want a hedge against inflation, that will
Yeah.
add pressure to Ample's supply, which is wrapped Ample. This is how it's doing, right? Is that accurate?
Yeah, I mean, another way to say it is demand for spot will cause Ample to grow. Ample is kind of the underlying collateral asset. So what we have is a durable, low volatility store of value that is fully collateralized by a cryptocurrency, right? And we haven't really seen that before. So as demand for spot increases, if the price of spot goes up, then people are going to buy Ample and mint spot to sell down because spot is redeemable for Ample, or more precisely, spot is redeemable for senior Ample tranches. But it has the same effect where demand for spot through this kind of bootstrapping program and this initial minting period will translate into demand for Ample. So this is really different from what we've seen before, even among what people describe as crypto collateralized stables and things like that, right? So in the case of Athena, right, like I said, it harvests a funding rate. It looks at long ETH positions. It puts up short ETH positions. No amount of demand for USDE will influence the amount of demand there is for taking a long ETH position, for example, right? It kind of is a snapshot that looks the other way around. It just rearranges how much unmet long ETH demand there is out there and puts up short ETH positions and calls that a stable, right? It is not really the type of thing where demand for the stable can affect the underlying in any way, shape, or form. Same is the case with like liquidity or back in the day the ETH backed DAI, right? No amount of demand for the DAI would actually pump ETH, and that's because more fundamentally, it's those are systems that allow you to borrow against ETH, right? In order to mint DAI. So if you are already long ETH and you don't want to liquidate your ETH position, but you want to borrow get it against it instead, then you would mint some DAI by opening up a CDP and you would top up your interest positions and you'd monitor that. But no amount of demand for DAI can actually increase the demand for ETH, right? And so what we have here is really kind of novel in that sense, where it's kind of like saying, I don't know. Here's an example, right? Imagine you have this commodity, it's like cheese, right? And you can create cheese derivatives, right? One derivative of cheese is like not cheese dip, melted cheese, right? Another derivative of cheese might be like cheese crisps. They're kind of like chips, right? If there's a sudden surge in demand for nacho dip, right, the value of cheese is going to go up because nacho dip is made from cheese, right? So that's kind of more similar to what we've created here, a commodity that's been reorganized into two derivative products, right? If there's a substantial amount of demand for the derivative, the underlying will appreciate in value as well, which is just structurally very different from, again, what people like Athena are doing, and what DAI and Liquidity and all the CDP-based variants are doing. It's certainly completely different from, centralized stablecoins where when we sell all of our Bitcoin because we're bearish and we go into Tether or USDC, nothing pumps, right? So all of that kind of market value is taken out, and it's moved into a safe haven that's collateralized by traditional assets, and they don't really appreciate as a result. And so, yeah, it's a derivative.